Hello there, hello everybody. Good evening, and how are you doing? It's a joy to connect on Deep Dive. Welcome to Deep Dive, our personal development forum for every one of us to develop ourselves, grow, and become fully what God wants us to be. God has invested so much potential in us, and He desires that you and I will be able to tap into the full potential that He has invested in our lives so that we, at the end of the day, maximize the life He has given to us here on earth. We want to share a word of prayer and then we will begin our study. And as usual, what we're going to try or attempt to do is that I'm going to give you a brief presentation or some sort of presentation, and then we will engage. I want you to engage on this platform today. We want to have a discussion so you can ask questions so that you can make suggestions and stuff like that. On Deep Dive, it's a learning curve for everybody. Deep Dive is a learning curve for everybody, for the teacher, for the student, and for whoever. So please just be open and just open up your heart and let's have this wonderful time of study together. Essentially, I want to talk to you today about the value of time, the value of time, the value of time. And in this, we are going to discuss the concept of time management. We are going to discuss the concept of time management. Time management is a whole area of study that a lot of study and research has been done in that area. Psychologists have done a lot of work in that area. Pastors have done a lot of work in that area. And other people from other specialties have also done some work. There's a lot of work done under, management and everything. So anybody who's a student of management, generally who's a student of strategic management, you might have come across time management. But in our study, we are not going to look at it from the academic and technical point of view, because I did time management when I was doing my MBA, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We want to look at something that is focused, is basic, something that everybody can understand and use it. Because, of course, what is the value of information if you don't understand it and you cannot use it? So we want to talk about time. Let me start off by introduction by saying that time is a very, very essential commodity. Time is a very essential commodity. All of us, especially if you are in a new year, it brings you to a certain level of consciousness of time. Even if you were not conscious about time, at least when there was this whole euphoria about Christmas and New Year, at least there was a level of consciousness about time, and at least that 2023 has passed. You can never do anything about 2023. It's gone. It's gone, and it's gone forever. You cannot do anything about time. Time is a very essential commodity, and I think that we have looked at some aspect of time management a year ago, and I think the emphasis is important because time is an essential commodity for every human being. The value of your life is measured in time. The value of your life is measured in time. When somebody dies, they say he was born from this year to this year. And that is it. So when you go to anybody's, tombstone, they have 1940 to probably the day or the year of death. Okay. So time actually is the value of life. If you live for 2 days, that means that was the allotment of time that you were able to get. Some people live for 90 years, and some people live for a month. But whatever it is, it's important that you understand that when you run out of time, you also run out of life. All right? And a living dog, the Bible says, is better than a dead lion, because when you die, you have no time. When you die, you have no time. You go back to the state of being a spirit. All right? You exit time and you go back to, immortality. So it's very important that we understand that time is so critical, time is so important, and we cannot, underestimate, time. And in 2024, 2024 happens to be a leap year. So we have 366 days in 2024. Every one of us, rich, poor, young, old, anointed, not anointed, Christian, non-Christian, we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. God did not say that, you are so anointed, so he's going to give you some extra time. So for you, every day will be 26 hours a day. It's not like that. It's the same for everybody. And what you decide to use that time for will determine whether you'll be successful in life, will determine whether you will live a fulfilled life, will determine whether your life will be a life of celebration, whether you will live a legacy and etc. So we all have the same amount of time given to us in terms of a day. So if you quantify time in terms of a day, there's 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. And in all the 366 days in 2024, we are all going to have 24 hours in that day. What you decide to use that time for, what you decide to do with that time in terms of your choices and in terms of your actions will determine the state of your life by the end of the year. It will also determine the quality of your life by the end of the year. It will also determine your level of success by the end of the year. So how you decide to use the time allocated, time available, the 24 hours in the day, by the choices you make, by the actions you determine or you take, is going to go a long way to determine whether at the end of the year you are going to be successful in life, whether at the end of the year you'll be able to consolidate and achieve some gains in life, whether at the end of the year your life will be better than it was in 2024. So how you use your time is important. And remember that we've already discussed that there are two Hebrew words that are used for time. It's more than one, it's more than two, but at least we focused on two. Last year we focused on two, and just last Sunday when I was teaching on understanding the times, I also made reference to these two words again. One of them is chronos and the other is kairos. Chronos is the chronological time, the order of time, as in minutes, hours, days, and weeks and months and years. Then we have what we call kairos time, which is opportune time. It's a time where something significant happens. Okay, it's a time that something significant break forth. It becomes a defining moment. It becomes a pivotal time all through the order of time, the chronological time, the arrangement of time. And I use the illustration that even though you have all the days in the year, but for all of us, at least there's a day in the year that means a lot to us. And that is the day of our biological birth. If you have a birthday, I know some of you don't have birthdays because you don't know when you were born, or probably your dad or your mom didn't tell you. But that is fine. If you don't know your birthday, please find one. Please get one. Okay. But anybody who celebrates his or her birthday at least realizes that there is a time that I pause to really get excited, celebrate, be happy, and everything. So that's about it. Now, how we are talking about essentially the chronological time, the chronological arrangement or order of time, how you are able to use it. And remember that I've also underscored in our study last week that if you want to maximize your opportune time, then you will have to learn how to use your chronological time, because opportunity will come. The Bible says that I returned and I saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to men of understanding or favor to the learned, but time and chance happens to them all. In other words, you are going to have a time where you are going to have opportunity. All right, you're going to have opportunity. There are times that you have the opportunity to win a battle, like David when he had to encounter Goliath. It was a time and a season, an opportune time for him. And neither whether it is bread to the wise, in terms of those who are able to maximize their way in terms of economics, like Joseph, by this economic solution he had, could preserve and have bread or provide bread for his generation. All right, but you have to understand that before these opportune times came for what we call that major breakthrough, that big thing for them happened, we realized that these people were using their chronological time in a particular way. They lived their lives in a particular way. Joseph feared the Lord, walked with God. He was full of the Spirit of God. He was full of the Spirit of wisdom. David had been at the backside of the desert. All this while, David was taking care of his father's sheep, and he had tremendous experiences in the wilderness. But all that time was a time of preparation for him. So he said, the bear came and I killed it. The lion came and I killed it. And because he was familiar with warfare, he could take down Goliath. Even though Goliath was a huge giant, even though Goliath was a big thing, but that was an opportune time for David. Imagine that David had not been prepared for that moment. What was going to happen? Imagine that he was not prepared for that moment. What was going to happen? For example, somebody shared a testimony with me. One of our members at Apenkwa shared a testimony with me. This person was telling me how, out of the blue, she's called by HR and she's given a letter of promotion, and imagine that, such an elevation has come, and we all long for that. We all look for that. We all pray for that. So imagine that opportunity comes. So now that opportunity has come, what are you going to do? I've been looking forward to becoming the president of Ghana. One day you wake up, you are the president of Ghana, and you don't understand anything about, governance. You don't understand anything about economics. When they ask you what is gross domestic product, now we'll say, you understand. What animal is that? We use it for granules, peanuts. But you need to be prepared. On a serious note, you need to be prepared, because the opportunities will come, the breakthroughs will come, the open doors will come, the access will be given. It's not about whether the access will come or not, because it will definitely come. And when it comes, what are you going to do with it? Definitely the door is going to open for you to be a wife. When the door is open, what are you going to do? Definitely the door is going to open for you to become a mother. When the door opens, what are you going to do? Definitely the door is going to open for you to own your own business. When the door opens, what are you going to do? So it's so critical that you and I take time, to understand the dynamics of how we manage time, because time is life. Time is life. And some of us, it's interesting, but in case you do not know, it's important that I remind you that today is the 9th of January. So that means that 9 days are already gone in the month of January, and still counting. All right, so you cannot sit down. And I'm excited that at least last week our resource person emphasized that we all don't need to sit down. We all need to act now. If you want to act, act now. The best time to act is to act now, and take some course of action and make a move and allow God to use you to change your circumstance and your situation. Have you ever felt that the time available to you is never enough. If you get very busy, like I shared with you, many months ago, last year, I had this mentor that at a certain point in my student life, I got so busy. I was traveling. I had to travel to 29 campuses across the nation, Ghana. In that 1 year, it was my final year. I had to take care of a local ministry, and I have to also pay attention to my academic work as well. And so at the point we're talking, and then I was complaining that, it looks like the time is never enough. The time is never enough. You're a mother, you're a wife, you're a CEO, you are an owner of a school, you are an owner of a business, you're a mother, you're a wife, and all that. How do you juggle all that, together and be able to live a stress-free, successful, fulfilled life? So if you have ever gotten to a point in your life where it's like time is never enough, then it means that you have to do practically more in terms of developing the right strategies for effective and efficient time management. Not just managing the time. Everybody manages his time, but we are talking about how you can strategically, efficiently, and effectively manage your time. When you talk about efficiency, it means that there is no wastage. It means that everything correlates and works well. And when you talk about effectiveness, it means that you are able to achieve exactly the worth of what you are putting in. So it's very, very important that we look at that. And there are some too who don't even see that time is not enough. Those of you who are in that zone, it means you have not even started living at all. They think they have time. They have so much time. It doesn't matter whether you have set things in motion. You need to get to a point where your hands are really full, and then you know that you are doing much more. If you realize you have more time, then it means that there's more you can do. That is what it means. You have more time on your hands. For example, if you can watch television 3 hours in a day, then it means you have a lot of time on your hands. It means there is more that probably you have to place on demand on your time. Put some demands on your time, because you cannot. Some of us are on social media the whole day. We don't do anything productive. We don't do anything that can add to our lives, that can make a difference to our lives. It's important that you pay attention and start doing something. All right? So too much to do with limited time is a situation confronted by everyone that God begins to lift up, everyone God begins to bless, and all that. And so it's important that we pay attention to how we can manage our time. So how do we effectively and efficiently manage our time? There are a few tips here and there we want to share, a few strategies we want to share, and we also want to talk about. And I trust that it will make a huge difference in your life. And please pay attention to that. It's not going to be in the same order we looked at last year. I'm going to look at it from different perspectives and then draw different emphasis. And I trust that it will help you. All right. So let's do some work. Very important. Okay. So first of all, you need to understand how your day goes. How does your day go? And obviously, like we always say, an unexamined life is not worth living. It's important that you examine your life. But in this context, let's talk about examining your day. So conducting a certain kind of audit. Okay, a certain kind of audit. Psalm 90 tells us that the psalmist declares that teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. In other words, help us to be able to reconcile our days so that we can apply our hearts to wisdom. So, and to number your days in this context comes from a root word, which is to reconcile. That is where we get reconciliation in accounts from. Okay, reconciliation in accounts from. So it's where you draw a certain parallel and draw a certain comparison to know, whether what is coming in terms of input and what is going on in terms of output, it fits. It fits and things are okay. So you're looking at in terms of your income generation, so the income that is coming, and then also the expenditure that is also being done. You look at it and then you're able to puts them side by side to see whether you are doing justice to the resources that were placed at your disposal, in terms of the fact that there were no wastage, in terms of the fact that you were able to do more, with what you were with more of what you had available to you. So that's what reconciliation, technically, from the accounting or business perspective, that is what it is. So we all need to be able to sit down and conduct our audit. So conduct your daily audit. Your daily audit. You need to understand that it is the cumulative things you do over a period of time that is going to bring you to a certain end result and a certain end game. Now, for some of us, it's easy to gloss over, the little things about life and just think that, okay, something big will happen. And so that's what I have to look out for and focus on. Start with your day. Conduct your daily audit. And so I want to challenge every one of us, and we all need to do that periodically. We all need to do that assessment periodically. So take some time out and assess your day. And sometimes there are people that, when you start, it's important. There are people that take time every day by the close of the day, before they close their eyes, they lie down and then they just do an audit. Some even sit down and they just assess their lives. Like from the time of bed rising or getting up from bed and even to going to bed, how has their day been? How were they able to navigate through the day, and etc. So please examine your day, assess your day, how it is like. And it's important that because of the uniqueness of how sometimes the days are, you take time. So for example, you look at your Mondays, you look at your Tuesdays, you look at your Wednesdays, you look at your Thursdays, you look at your Fridays, you look at your Saturdays, you look at your Sundays, and each of them sits down day by day and do an assessment. What are some of the benchmarks for the assessment? Find out what you were able to achieve. Find out the gains you were able to make. Find out the things you were able to accomplish. Very important. Find out whether you were productive, all right? Because like I keep on saying, so maybe it is your goal for the year that you will increase your income or double your income. Don't expect to be doing the same things and then achieve a different result. So sometimes you have to set your life on a different trajectory. That will come as a result of you conducting the audit, where you know where you fall short, where the lapses are. Because like I said, even the billionaires have 24 hours in the day. The guy who is doing well in class, whose GPA is 4.0, has 24 hours in the day. The guy who is, who is delivering those deliverables that you are not able to, a person has the same time given in a day. So it's about what you are able to do with the time. So when you do your assessment, then you can be able to find the gaps where you are lacking everything, and you will be able to make some progress, from there. The second thing that you have to do apart from the assessment is the fact that it's important to determine your priorities. It's important to determine the things that are important and urgent. So there's a way you do it. So one of the things you can do is that list all the things that you have to do. Let's say if it is tomorrow, list all the things you have to take a pen and a paper. List all the things you have to do tomorrow. When you list all the things you have to do tomorrow, just make sure that you categorize them into what is important, and then at least you have to have 4 categorization. So what is important, what is urgent, okay, what is important and urgent, and what is not important but urgent. Okay, so you have this 4 quadrants or 4 categorization of your activity. So first of all, what are the things that are urgent? Okay, you list them. What are the things that are important? You list them. What are the things that are important and urgent? You list them. What are the things that are important but they are not urgent? You list them. Okay, so all that will help you at least to be able to determine your priorities. Every one of us must have priorities, things that are important to us, things that are very important to us. Many times, some things may be urgent, but they may not be important. In fact, most of the times, urgent things are not important things. Most of the time. Sometimes it's not the case. I agree. Sometimes it's not the case. But most of the times, things that come up, spring up in our part of the world where that are not very, very important. There's room for emergencies. Those are there. But by and large and generally, most of the things that are urgent may not necessarily be important. So you have to know the difference. And when you know the difference, it helps you to know the course to take. Very important. Now, understanding what you have to do, your sets of activities, and please try your best to list them and to write them down because it helps. It goes a long way to help. So beyond that, find a way also to be able to divide your time. So divide your time in the day. Okay, it's easy. At least you must have some sleep hours. So you have this time you sleep, you have this time you work, and etc. Okay, so make sure that at least you have divided your time. I know I wake up this time, and this is my schedule for the day. Now, when you are able to, divide your time, okay, in the day, it helps you. It helps you now to be able to allocate the activities that are important and urgent. So you always have to start doing the things that are important and urgent. Very important. Then you do what is important. Then you do what is important, but you do what is important but not urgent. Then eventually you do what is important but not urgent. Sometimes what is important but not urgent can wait, okay? And then you can look at that as well. So look at a schedule for every one of us must have a schedule. You must have a time you go to bed and a time you rise up. For example, what time do you go to bed? Because the time you go to bed, it must be a fixed time. The time you go to bed and the time you rise up. And I have some people who are very disciplined with that. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, they will go to bed at this time. Once in a while, then they will break it. But they are so conscious about it that, that's their routine, that's their lifestyle. So they have a time they go to bed, the time they wake up, and then when they wake up, they have the list of activities they have to do. And of course, like we studied, you have to have some habits. But habit starts with you starting an action. And that repeated action eventually becomes your habit. Okay? So you start, you wake up and you start your day. You start your day with your quiet time, your devotion. You plan for your day. You plan for your day. And I don't know whether you have heard about this before, but there's something called to-do list. To-do list. So every one of us must attempt to do that. To-do list is a list you do for the day. And as you go through the day, you cross out on what you have been able to do, and so that you know what is outstanding. It's very, very important. And of course, look at what is important first. Do the first things first. The first things that are important, the things that are important, do those ones first, and then the other things will fall in place. Sometimes, by just doing one single thing that is important in that day, it will make up for, you not even doing all the other things on your list. So sometimes it can be like that. So look at that as well, and I think that will also go a long way to help. So every one of us must have a to-do list. Have a to-do list, and in your to-do list, as you allocate the time for your day, look at the time that you are in your best, the time that you are at your peak. That is when you do the stuff that you have to. That's when you concentrate your energies to do the things that you're doing. Some of you, by 11 a.m., you are all fired up. You feel more alive, and you are sharp, and so you can perform more. That's the time to undertake all the tasks that are critical, the tasks that are very, very important. Then you can try to spread those things that are not really so demanding, and that doesn't need so much of your attention and alertness and everything. Can spread those ones along the period that you are not in your peak, and then you can make good use of the moments that you have available to you. Now, one of the things that I have realized is that many times we really look down upon time. People value money than time. But I know that in the Western world, probably, let me say, the developed world, of course, we have a mantra that time is money. So in some societies, they really value time. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, it can be something else. Okay? So we all need to understand that time is also money. In fact, you can equate time to money. If you're looking at productivity, you can equate time to money. And many people value money than they value time. But begin to treat your time like it is money. Begin to treat time like it is money. You need to understand that money is a limited resource and time is a limited resource. So if you are given one person or two people or something, so much of your time, and you are not getting anything productive out of it, then you got to look at it. If you're on a phone call for an hour and that phone call actually is, it's a waste of time, then you need to pay attention to that. Because if it is money that is going like that, you will not allow that to go down the drain like that. I know some people will do though, but I mean, if you are very wise and you are very intelligent, you will not allow your money to be wasted. Because at a certain point in time, you realize that, hey, my bank account is dropping. At a certain point, you realize that the money in my purse or my money in my wallet is dropping. So I have to be more wiser in terms of the handling and the dealing of my money. And that is time. And that is time. And you need to understand that the time is going to come. You can't do the things that you wish you could do. Yeah, the time is going to come. You can't do the things you wish to do. There are a lot of people who are at the age of pension, or they are above the age of pension, and they wish they could turn their hands of time to make certain corrections and stuff like that. But they cannot. Why? Because it is too late. Okay, they can't do much about it. So treat your time as money. Let your time be a priority to you. Don't think that time is a loose commodity. No, time is not a loose commodity. It's a valuable commodity. Very important. Now, the other thing that you also have to do in terms of managing of your time, and let me try to wrap up because of time, is that you have to organize yourself. How do you organize yourself? Sometimes the space you find yourself in can be so disorganized, and it can impact on your motivation for doing things. So sometimes it may impact on you in such a way that you feel so demotivated to do the things that you have to do. So one of the things that you can do is to declutter. So declutter the office, declutter your home. Some of you, your home or your bedrooms are like the zoo. When you enter your bedroom, it's like you have entered a zoo. And your room and your environment, how your room or your environment looks is a reflection of how your mind will also look. So look at your room and tell how your mind looks like, because you can't see what is in your mind, but you can see what is in your room. You can see what is on your table. Look at your desk. And so you need to tidy up and then organize yourself. When you do all that, apart from the organization or arrangement of the things that you have to do by managing tasks and things like that, putting the right things at the right place and doing the right thing at the right time, and looking at how your workflow is supposed to be as you go to work and all that, all of them together are essential. I used to have a very good friend of mine, and he worked in a very busy office, and he realized that the time where he's at his peak in performance was around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. It's amazing. So normally when he goes to the office, he realizes, and of course he was a big man, so he could stay in the office beyond a certain time. So he realized that it was important to do so many other things, especially the errands and all the other things that keeps you busy. And then by 6 p.m., he gets on his desk, and in 2 hours, he gets all that he has to do, his report and everything done. And he does that so efficient. For some of you, it may be early in the morning when you get to the office. When you get to the office, avoid conversations, avoid phone calls that may interrupt you. Focus on that thing you have to do first, and then you can allow other things into that space. Okay? It's very, very important. The next thing I also want to talk about, and then I'll pick up some few questions and suggestions, is that, you see, we have to learn also to delegate. We have to learn to delegate. There are some of us who have children at home, that we have to start allowing them to do menial things in the home and to help us. Delegate everything that mom you are supposed to. Is everything that daddy you are supposed to do? Introduce the kids at a very tender age and let them help you. Delegate. Delegation is assigning a certain role or a certain activity for somebody to do on your behalf. And when you delegate, it is not, you don't totally absorb yourself from it, because you follow up and make sure that this and that is done. But when you delegate things that, you can free yourself, things that are below, things that are menial, things that are trivial, and other people can take care of that. It helps you to do a lot. Imagine that you are the CEO, and the same CEO is sweeping his office and cleaning and dusting his office. He will use about an hour or two to do that, and that is going to affect the productivity of the CEO. Meanwhile, that responsibility can be taken care of by somebody else. You delegate what other people can do. You do what you alone can do. If there is anything that other people around you, in the home, in the family, in the church, in the office, other people can do, allow them to do it. Just make sure that you hold them accountable. It's very, very important. And by that, people also begin to grow. Sometimes in the initial stages, you may not get the output you expect and want. But by and by as they continue and practice, they get good at it and things become better. So that you free up your time to focus on high priority things, high priority tasks. Okay, and you can also, by doing that, help build the people that are around you. Very, very important. Then the last part I want to talk about, because I can go on and on and on, but I want us to have some level of engagement. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that learn to take some breaks and rest. It's important. Learn to take some breaks and rest. It reminds me of somebody I had, when we used to go to school, when our activities were quite regimented. And it's beautiful when you have a regimented, it helps, because over time it becomes part and parcel of you. So we go to school, there's a what do you call it? We all wake up at a certain time, the rising bell will go, or whatever will go. We all wake up, we all prepare ourselves. Then quickly, you get ready for class, you go for breakfast. From breakfast, you go to your class from, after having your class, your lecture, whatever, your study, whatever it is, you come back, you go for lunch, you take the rest of your class for the day, you come for siesta, you take some break. Now, it's important that people learn to take some short breaks, because short breaks are like refueling, and they re-energize you. Especially those of you who live or your work is quite sedentary. You sit at one place to work, you don't move a lot. Sometimes you have to just move from one desk to the other, even though you can just ask and then something will be handed over to you. Just get up. Sometimes, even though you don't feel like going to use the washroom, you can just get up, go to the washroom, just wash your face, and then walk back to your seat. Sometimes you have to stretch. Sometimes you have to take just a short break for about 15 minutes, just rejuvenate. And then the energy comes back. And then now when you get back on the project, back on the task, you can do more. That's why I was talking about the fact that everybody must have a time you sleep and a time you wake up. Because when you have a good rest, you wake up refreshed, you wake up strengthened, you wake up, your energy level is high, you are in your best, and you can do much more at a shorter period of time. And sometimes you have people lingering, a whole report that you are supposed to use 2 hours to read and to respond to, because you feel not rested, you feel tired and all that. You are not able, to do much. So please pay attention to some breaks and rest and rejuvenate, so that you can do more, and it will help you to be able to achieve so much more in life. The outcomes you are going to get in life depends on your ability to manage the resource of time that is made available to you. It's the best and the most precious resource that God has given to us. The good part is that as you start and as you do it, over time, it becomes a part and a parcel of your life. You develop the mindset for it, and you develop the attitude for it. And the things that initially you will struggle to do, you are now able to have the flow, to do it. And so when you are starting, sometimes it can be challenging, but the more you do it as you practice, it becomes part and parcel of your life. Pastor Constance, if you have any question, Pacho, Obi or question, be over to maybe, sir. If you have any question, you can ask. If you have any contribution, you can make, and then we can round up. So question time, the floor is open. If you have a suggestion, if you have an input to make, please unmute your mic and go ahead. Any question, please? I thought I saw a hand up, but anybody with a question or a suggestion or a contribution? There are many of us who don't have a to-do list in a day. So let's start practicing it. You must always have a to-do list in a day. You must always have a to-do list in a day. I was telling you about my situation. This mentor of mine spoke to me and he said to me that, hey, you better know how to manage your time now, because you are going to get more busy and busy. You are going to be in ministry. You are going to be a leader. You are going to be a father. You are going to be whatever, a husband. So you need to know how to work around all this. And of course, I mean, everything is clear that the demands on your time is going to increase as you grow and as you get promoted and as you go higher. So any question, contribution, or suggestions, please. We are all learning together. Anybody with a question or contribution, please. Okay, so there's a comment. Let me see the comments that has come. It says that most of the time, when you don't have to do most of the time when you have to do a lot, I guess, you end up doing nothing. So you must have a to-do list. All right, so you must have a to-do list. Thank you so much for that contribution, Lady Gertrude. Anybody else? Please, contribution, questions, suggestions. Okay. Okay, so let me ask. Okay, so there's a question. Please, how does one study the body rhythm to know the peak time and when to rest? Okay, so how do you know? One of the things that we have to all grow up doing is that we have to grow up knowing ourselves. In fact, the first person to know should be yourself. A lot of us don't know who we really are. You have to know yourself. You have to know, what are the things that are your stresses. There are sometimes things that stresses you. And you have to know how to manage that, because that can affect your productivity. In fact, those stresses can even make you feel, very demotivated and drain your energy, sap your energy, that you'll not be able to do anything. So one of the things that you have to do is that identify the things that impact on you from your environment. When you identify, look at those that are impact on you negatively and positively. And also, as you go through your day, just try to be a little conscious about a time that you feel that you are in your best. You will know it. You can sense it, where you have a certain sense of well-being. Some people, it is in the course of the day. Some of them is after lunch. Some of them is before lunch. Now, some people, by the time they eat in the day, everything begins to slow down. So you have to know all those dynamics. So first of all, identify the things that impact on you from your environment, and then monitor, be more conscious about those things and how they impact on you and how they affect your energy, drive, and everything. And based on that, you can know your peak time. And when you understand those dynamics, you can also know when you have to take a break and when you have to rest. Because I know some people that, because we are talking about, rest and break, then for them, almost everyone they need a break. But it's because they don't really know themselves and they don't know the interactions in their environment and the impact it has on them. And I think that will go a long way to help you. I know somebody, for example, that goes to bed very early. And he's an early riser. uh, um, and so he'll go to bed early, and by 1 a.m. he's up, and he says he's so sharp, he can learn, he can study, and all that. And there is a flow. There's something we call a flow. When you are able to, when the sequence of what you do has less inhibition. That means, let's say your thoughts are flowing on what you're doing, or your whole part of being gets into what you are doing. We say that there is a flow. Okay. Now, when you have a flow, it's a sign that you are in your best. It's a sign that you are in your best. So you have to look at that as well. It's very, very important. Look at that as well, and that can be a sign for you. To do that. There are some people too that most of the times, if they have not rested, everything becomes bizarre. So you need to find time to rest. You need to find time to rest. The doctors tell us that everybody at least you need 8 hours of rest in a day. Everybody have time to rest. I know some of you are not able to rest because you have so much to do. But if you are really to do an audit, you realize that there's so much other leakages in your life in terms of things that you waste. And sometimes things that you could have done in a shorter time, it takes you a long time to do that. And don't mistake, let me put it this way, don't mistake being busy to being productive, because some of you are very busy. You can be busy from crane to crown, they say in my part of the world. From the beginning to the end, you can be so busy, but you are busy for nothing. Busy bodies. So you are always doing something, but there is nothing productive. You are always tired. You are always exhausted. But you are always still moving. You are always still doing something. So it's important that like I've said, understand the things that happens in your environment, okay, and stuff like that, and how they impact on you, and how you can relate to those things. Those things will determine whether you are at your peak, whether you are in your, you are at the best place, best point where you can do more, and etc. And you realize that things flow. You feel so energized and things like that. So rest is one of them. Understanding the dynamics in your environment is one of them, and understanding things, for example, like your stresses and things that impact on you are also very important, because those things can drain your energy. Lack of rest, your inability, to understand and manage some of the things that are in the environment, external, and both external and internal, that you have to shut down from. If you don't learn to do that, you always feel drained, you always feel weak, you always feel demotivated, and you can do more. It happens. Somebody is asking in terms of how it relates to learning. It's the same thing. I use the illustration I gave to. I shared this illustration I think last year. But when I was in the secondary school, I knew these two guys who were from Liberia. One of them, I won't mention his name. Maybe, who knows? Maybe other people who know them can relate. But I knew these guys, and in fact, right after class, when it was siesta time, you will never see them take a break to relax or to rest. I mean, they won't go and do any activity that is exciting or anything that takes their mind off, what they are supposed to do. So right after school, they take their books and they go to class for prep. That's what we call it, right? They are going to study. So they take their books and they go to prep. And they will be there in the classrooms till it's time to go for dinner. Go to dinner. Right after dinner, come back to continue their prep. And sometimes they can stay to almost about 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Sometimes even to 11 or 12 midnight before you see them, and they will be going to sleep. So one day I asked one of them that, my brother, how are you? And he said, I'm fine. and he said, normally I call, whenever they meet you, they say, hey, my man, the Liberians, okay? He said, hey, my man. So I said, hey, my man, how are you doing? And then he responded, and I said, so the way you study, you take so much time to study, you should really, really, really know a lot. And he said, no, for most of the time that I'm sitting down, you think I'm reading. The war that happened in Liberia is playing in my mind. I see people shooting people and stuff like that. So I was thinking that they were busy and they were reading and they were learning, not knowing that their mind is playing a movie all the time that they are sitting there. And that drains them, that makes them feel even demotivated. They are just there. And most of the times what it leads is procrastination. You do what, you don't really have to do. And it takes the place of important things that you have to do. Okay, so let me go to Josephine. Josephine, yes, let me hear you. I think that you'll be the last person to comment on yes, the last person to share, and then we'll round up.
All right, so Pastor, if I was saying something that I was about to say, I was
Go ahead.
privileged to work in a technology company, and they had
Okay.
set up their place such that there were places for rest and relaxation. I'm
Mhm.
nocturnal. I'm very productive from 6 p.m. till about 10 p.m. That's when I'm able to get a lot done, especially when it requires my mind. Now at work, during the day, like you were saying, I'll be busy, but I'm not able to get as much done. Then I'll take a nap or two. And then when everyone has left the office, I spend a few more hours at work. And I'm able to do so much in 2 hours than I was able to do during the day. However, not many people are privileged to have this opportunity. A lot of people are working in places where the time blocks are set. It's not about deliverables, it's about how long you are at the office. Like maybe you're supposed to be there at 8 and close at 5, and that's how it is. And so I remember it was something I shared with my mom, and I was telling her that I don't know how to manage that. And she said one thing, I'll translate it in Tree. She said, "The team, like, I don't know how to say it in English, but yes, psych up yourself.
Psych
Those
up.
are the number of hours that have been given to you for work." And so it's true, when you're able to know and understand your body rhythm, you are more productive. But if the situation demands that even in your unproductive hours, you are supposed to do something, God has given us self control, and He has given us power, He's given us wisdom, He's given us strength and grace, so that we'll be able to even navigate those hours that we are not very productive. Because if we are all going to walk about saying that, oh, I'm not very productive within these hours, and you're required to do something, just like you mentioned, Pastor, we'll end up wasting this very important resource. So it's good to understand our body rhythms, but if you have to do something within the periods you know you are not very productive, still try and manage it and try to do as much as you can. Another thing I wanted to say was about us building our capacity to multitask. I'm going to use a very basic thing that we the women do, cooking. Me, I have a four burner stove, and maybe let's say I'm doing rice and stew. I want to finish the rice before I will now prepare stew. When I have four burners, so I can use one burner to prepare rice. I'll use one burner to prepare the stew, so that within the same period of time, I've been able to do two things. So I feel like in one of the ways we can manage our time is to build our capacity to multitask. If we're able to do that, we'll get a lot more done with the same number of hours. And I know that it is not naturally occurring to men especially, but I believe that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So it's a skill that we can all build. We start from somewhere, and then over time we get to a point where we can do more than one thing at a time, so that we'll be more productive and efficient in a day. Yes. And then this one is a question. Pastor, so I have babies, and sometimes babies can be very unpredictable. I'm a to-do list person. I may have planned out my day. I've apportioned times. I've even given wiggle room, knowing that, oh, if anything should happen, I have these 30 minutes or 1 hour to spare. And then a baby decides that They will be all manner of ways. Then they end up taking 3 hours of my day. And then I realize I haven't done anything that I should have done in the day except taking care of a baby. How are we? How for someone like me? How do I manage such? Assuming I don't have the help to take the babies off my hands, I don't have any other resources. What do I do
Okay,
when
so
such unpredictable circumstances come?
one of the things that sometimes you have to do in order not to really be depressed and to be so stressed out, especially with some of these, sudden introductions or whatever way you want to call them, is that understand if you're a mother or a parent and you have kids, understand that you have kids, and that season of your life can be very challenging. So you have to learn to be accommodating. It's a natural phenomenon. So normally it's very difficult to do so much about it. You can't do very much about it. I shared to some group of persons that if you go to certain cultures, for example, by 2021, they are done with uni, they are done with school, they start working. So they're able to work for a period of time and save. So by the time they marry around 26, 27, and they start having children, in fact, for the first year or two, in Japan, I understand, the first year, for example, I mean, the man and the woman, if they have saved enough, both of them don't need to work. They can stay at home and bond with their child and take care of the child because it is only a season, okay? Because if you don't also take advantage of that season and then bond and then develop the values you need to develop in the life of the child, time is going to come. You can't do anything about it, okay? So sometimes it's the wisdom to be able to balance this whole thing. And I pray that God will give you that wisdom to balance the whole thing. The other thing you can do is that when you can get help, get help. When you can get help, get help. Sometimes we don't have the help because we have not asked for. So when you can get help, please ask for help and get help. And I think that sometimes also it's important that, especially if you are living in this modern day and time, you see how best you can get people around you, who can help and do stuff for you. Certain things in your life at a certain stage in your life is not a luxury at all. It's not a luxury. If you are very busy, you have a lot to do, and you have a driver, it helps you. At a point, I realized that, if I have to doing a lot of travels, I need a driver because I will end up sleeping on the way. And sometimes you have a report to put together by the time you are going for that meeting, and etc. Some people may look at it as a luxury, but you have to understand when it is necessary to have certain things that can help you to be productive. A quick one on those of you who are nocturnal and your body rhythm is such that you feel alive, in a time that traditionally you are supposed to be sleeping and all that. You can tune up. There's what we call tuning up. Okay, so you can tune up. When a baby is born, you realize that for most babies, they are active in the night. It's the duty of the mother to change that routine. And it can be done. It can be done. When you consistently do it, you realize that that rhythm will change for the baby. If you leave it like that, that's how the baby is going to be troubling you all the time. Okay, and you'll not be able to have a good rest. And daytime, when maybe you have some time on your hands, that is when to take care of that. That's when is asleep. So I thank you. I think that was an alert that there are babies there. So it's like that. But you can tune up. A lot of us, I realize that a lot of us, if we can go to bed early and wake up early, in the initial stages it may be difficult. But if you can start gradually over time, I think it will pick up. Sometimes it's difficult, but when you're starting it, but you can tune up, and it involves you, psychologically tuning your mind, like that's what you said. Tune your mind to the thing and put your mind to it and stuff like that. And most of the times, you also have to, if you are the type who you are nocturnal, do so much activity in the day, and you by evening you'll be tired. So obviously you sleep and then you wake up. Gradually you realize that you'll be able to tune up and you can adjust to the time zone and where you are and what you do and all that. Sometimes it can be like that, but it works. It works. Our body is a machine that can be adjustable. So we have to know how, to work around it. If you accept it, that is how I am, I can't change it, then nothing can be done about it. All right, because already your mind is fixed, your mind is set, and so it's difficult to change anything. Auntie Harriet, let me take your contribution, and then I'll close. But as Auntie Harriet is speaking, please give me the giving protocol, and then everybody can do his giving. Auntie Harriet, please unmute your mic. Let's hear from you. Your question or contribution.
Hello,
Please.
Pastor. Good evening.
Good evening, Mommy.
Please, a little to add to what our last sister was asking about concerning handling of the babies. I want to give a little example of what I did when I was having babies. I realized that especially when we come to church, if you don't take care, the babies will worry you. They always want to run around. And you realize that the whole of the church activity, you'll be going up and down. There is nothing you can do. So I asked myself, then why did you come to church in the first place? If you cannot sit because of a baby to listen to what is going on. So what I adopted was, I will make sure before I come to church, I will not feed the baby. If it's a little breast milk, fine. Then I put the porridge or whatever inside my bag. When we come to church, when praises and worship starts, then I will feed the baby. And then I'll back the baby, be running and jumping, singing and dancing. By the time praises and worship ends, the baby falls asleep. And then you sit. The baby wakes up when he hears another drum. That is for the closure. So just as you said, there are certain things, if you allow, it will take away everything that you are doing and you will find yourself wanting. So let us build some of these things, find a way of going around it. And just as you said, with time, we can get over it. Thank you.
We'll get used to it. All right. Thank you so much. This is what time will allow us. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining us. Next week is going to be another exciting time. And my prayer is that every one of you will use your time well in 2024. Please, there are some people, they will just come around to waste your time. They are time wasters. They have nothing on their hands. They are not going anywhere. They have no goal. They have no vision. Please don't allow them to take your space. The person comes to sit around. He will chat and chat and chat and chat and chat. 6 hours is gone and nothing has been done. After 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it is, oh, please, thank you so much for coming. That's so sweet. I'll talk to you later. I have a meeting to catch. I have to do this thing. Find an excuse quickly and save the situation and make good use of your time. Sometimes, for some of us too, it's difficult to say no. So learn to say no. Some of us have personality types that makes it difficult for us to say no. But please learn it. Learn to say no. Saying no is not a sin. And sometimes people may not understand, they may misconstrue, but it is your life. And so please live it the way that will be beneficial to you. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Let me pray with you. Father, bless you and thank you for what we have learned. I pray that we will all be able to take hold of it, understand, and run with it. In Jesus' name, amen. Please, this Friday, Sozo is going to be online. This Friday, Sozo is going to be online. Our Friday prayer meeting is going to be strictly online. So please make a date with us and join. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Join us from 7 p.m. and let's have a great time of prayer together. I wish you well. I wish you God's abundant blessings. And I pray that as you give, the Lord will continue to honor his word. The Bible says, as the heavens remain seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter will not cease. As you make this investment into the kingdom, the Lord will continually bless you. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I love you. This is your brother and your friend and pastor, Pastor Sammy. Bye-bye for now.